Hi, good morning. So it's Sunday, March 16th, I think. And I have a little time before I have to run off to class, so I thought we would do a little brief reading to see what messages want to come through. There was some message right before I started when I do my little check-in, like, hello, what message wants to come through? And it's something about tribes, what party, like your people, something about finding your people, or some message in there about like groups of people. The first word that came in was party, then clan, then tribe, and I was like, okay, there's like tribe lately I think about like finding your people, but this was like the message was more along like, what are you aligning with, like your group, your family, your people, your like something about alignment and people seeking connection through shared values. There we go. That felt right. So something about that perhaps, or maybe not. So thank you, Spirit, for that message. And maybe that's all you needed to take away from this. I don't know. So take what resonates and put a pin in the rest. Thank you, Spirit. I'm going to do a quick, just brief 3 card with clarifications. We have the Tower. Let's just start off with a literal bang. Why does that look faded? It must be the lighting in here, which is low. Then we have the Queen of Swords. Oh, interesting. And the Knight of Cups. And then the overall energy of the World. Wow. So far, this is, wow. Immediately, there's this story here of, like, it's like you're seeking more. Like, of course, that's so generic. We're all seeking more, right? I mean, very few of us are like, oh, I'm perfectly happy with how things are. Carry on. Like, there's this, like, there's got to be more to life energy here. And then a swift change is afoot. I like that word. Some maybe in the midst of some change or like inner turmoil about what is it? What do I really want? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? Maybe it's about connection. Like, I need to find the people out in the world that I resonate with. And then the world is also about completion. Like, I won't feel complete until, and so therefore we're like, well, then swift, sudden change has got to happen in your life. And then we're moving from Queen of Swords to Knight of Cups. The Queen of Swords is like a little bit like she's got her way of thinking, and it keeps her a little bit at arm's length with people at times. And then the Knight of Cups is this, he brings this gift of a connection and maybe a new faith in connection and intuition and spirituality. So the cups are all of those things. So we're moving from this down into this. So that's the overarching story through like some sudden, like some really like, it could be surprising how you move from this to this. It could be unexpected. It could feel a little destructive. Or it could just be like, now's the time. It could just be that inner turmoil, like, let's do this already. I want this now. So with that, let's get some clarifications. I haven't used these cards before. I just did a little, they were made in Portland. I got them at a little shop that all the proceeds go to the artists who collaborated. Like a dozen artists came together to reimagine the tarot deck to be more inclusive. It's called Reclaim It Tarot, and it's an organization called Reclaim, and they source materials out of like waste, the waste stream they call it. So this is all like recycled materials, and then they got together and said, well, how do we want to reimagine tarot to be more inclusive, and like the whole rigidity of the gender roles don't really resonate today, so how can we readapt tarot into our modern world. And they've kept a lot of the original meanings, but then they made some tweaks here and there. And I don't know all those tweaks yet, so we'll just go with what we feel. So Spirit, let's clarify the tower. I don't even know if you can hear me because I feel like my microphone is under my phone. So I might have to amp up this audio. Apologies. So we have the Five of Wands. Interesting, because that takes us, this, when it's complemented with the tarot, it's like we're moving away from the ego state. We're moving away from comparison and competition and like, and so that's a good sign. And then I want to get, actually I might use my other one to clarify further. So let's just get a clarification for the Queen of Swords. We're just going to peel back the layers slowly on this one. Queen of Swords, please. And we have the Eight of Wands. Ooh. It's hard to see here. This is the, oh, it's got a spider and a snake in it, which is interesting. But the Eight of Wands is typically like, again, out of this tower energy of like, quick, just like, I'm ready. There's the Eight of Wands, which is like really focused, passionate energy, really quick. So again, we're coming out of tower, which is like super quick, tearing things down, and the Eight is like super quick incoming energy. So this is wild. And it's saying like, now's the time to stop keeping people at arm's length, because you have a mission. You're going into connection. I'm having another hot flash. Oh, Knight of Cups, please. And then we have the Sun. So that is that optimism and that's clarifying the Knight of Cups, which is that new gift, that new fresh start from an emotional center, from a heart center, versus like that Five of Wands energy, the Queen of Swords energy. So now we have, and the Queen, she's a good, I mean, they all have good qualities. She's very powerful. She's very like confident. She just has more of like a right, like her way is the right way, and it kind of keeps people, it's complementary to the Five of Wands, where it's like mine, me, and I'm comparing and like judging, and so sometimes that serves her well, but in this reading it's kind of keeping us, like keeping people like, and so the Sun is moving out of that energy with the Eight of Wands really quickly moving into hope and optimism and a better outlook for people. Like when you've looked down and judged people, this is, oh my God, I'm so sweaty. This is, you're looking out there with like rose-colored glasses, but grounded in reality. You're not just like, oh, I don't want to see the bad stuff. It's like, no, you have a real sense of optimism for like connecting with people. Where this is an energy that's been like out there thinking about, like when people are like, I don't like people, I just want to stay inside, it's safer there, and I don't want to people today, I don't want to people today. And we're moving out of that energy. Trust it. We are. If you do your work, if you do your healing work, and you really get curious about people, instead of instantly think you know them and know all about them, like people are freaking interesting. Let's clarify. Oh, I didn't clarify the world. Let's get one more for the overall energy from this deck. Thank you, Spirit. And we have the Three of Cups. I knew this was going to come out in this reading before we even started the reading. I'm like, I bet the Three of Cups will come, because it's harmony and togetherness and celebration. And it's coming into connection with each other, community, all the things. So this is exactly what that reading is about. Oh, I knew it. When it didn't come out right away, I was like, oh, maybe that's not what this is about. And it's like, oh, got you. Okay. So let's clarify further this tower, this letting go of that ego stuff. Man, I feel like with all the readings I'm getting lately, like all the messages, that's what's meant to come through me, is like taking people out of, and I felt it in my life a lot. So maybe that's why these messages are like, you need to spread the word. Of like, because it's a repeating message, isn't it? If you've watched any of these, it's like from, well, even the 5-part series I'm doing on change, man, I'm sweaty, is like moving away from resisting. And that means people too. Like we got to stop resisting each other. and into acceptance, and then into this Three of Cups harmony, because this is what is at stake, our world. This is what we want, the full circle, togetherness, like that completion, like we complete each other. There's two circles here, the world, and the Three of Cups is like people, like three people holding hands, dancing together. Man, I love this when it's just so friggin' obvious. So let's clarify the Tower with the Five of Wands, please, a little bit deeper. And we have the Seven of Wands. Oh my God. So this is moving from 5 to 7. That's a slow progression, but it's important because now we're moving away from, by the way, this is the Cat Tarot, the other deck I got here in Portland, because that's weird and cute. So we're moving away from competition, rivalry, comparison, judging. That's all Five of Wands energy. And moving into Seven of Wands, which is like, I want connection. So first, I can't just leap out there and be like, love me. I want to love you too. Whatever that energy is. This is saying, okay, what are your boundaries? We've got to build some boundaries. You've got to go inward to seek like your truth. Like, what are you really seeking? This has sometimes a defensive energy, but in this case, it's like putting up that boundary to say, I'm going inward to seek like, what do I really want? And I don't need the noise of the outside world. This really is a boundary about keeping out the noise, because the Five of Wands is all like, we're all up in each other's business, like judging and comparing. And this is like separating that a bit and saying, I'm headed in a new direction. It's a positive direction. My energy is increasing. It's lifting. And so now I need to create that space. I need some clarity in my own self. So that's a positive direction. And let's clarify the Queen of Swords, Eight of Wands. This one's interesting. This is like, what's coming at us? Woo, what's all this swift wand passion energy, like pursuit and opportunity? And thank you, Spirit. And then we have the Six of Pentacles. This doesn't really give you an accurate picture of what it means, but there is some happiness in knowing your balance. That's what the Six of Pentacles is. It's a very grounded, like, energy about knowing we're coming out of that. Okay, let's create some space, some distance with that noise out there. And the Six of Wands is like when you're moving from Queen of Swords, which is to Eight of Wands, which is like there's some swiftness there. And then suddenly we've come into like, I understand my balance. I understand what's mine and what I want to keep for myself, like maybe my me time. And here's what I have an abundance of to give outward to connection from a very grounded place. That's like a very, like, we've moved there quickly. So if wherever you find yourself in this journey, just know like you're not going to stay in one place long, because there's a desire for connection, and that's the key. There's a wanting to move away from this into this. So it's going to happen there's a lot of quickness in this reading. So let's go to clarify the Knight of Cups and the Sun, which is that total optimism here. What's this telling us? Oh, we've got the Two of Swords. Meow. So what's interesting is there's this journey of like oh, this is so fascinating, because I love when things aren't what they seem. Like, not literally. So let's say we've been out there in the world and we're just like, when I say out there in the world, I mean you've been in connection with people, but it never felt right. Like, it's like, oh, I'm always like rubbing people the wrong way, or they're rubbing me the wrong way. And it's just like, I'm really trying, but like this gets in the way, other people's this gets in the way. And so I'm like, it's got to be different. Remember when I said there's got to be more? It's got to be a different way. So then we've moved into like, okay, let's create some space. And then we've moved into, oh, now I'm starting to get this, like what I need for myself and what I have left to give, so that I can ultimately come into harmony and relationship with others. Like, I first got to understand that, because when I'm out there in the world, like always budding, like if something doesn't feel right, it's like, that's it. I don't know. I don't know what's in, like, you don't have that feeling of, here's what I need for me, and here's what I have left to give to you, right? And so we've moved into that, and then we're moving into total heartfelt, this gift of like emotional maturity in that regard, and optimism, which is a beautiful place, coming out of this grounded, like, yeah, what's mine is mine, what I have left to give is yours. And now we're like loving, like there's been some lifting happening with that optimism. And then we have the Two of Swords, which is like interesting because it's tapping into that intuition. It's full circle, which is the world chills. It's full circle back to this like blocking out energy of like, now that I'm in this heart space, I'm tapping into my intuition, and I know exactly who I am, and I'm right-minded. I have clarity, and I do that by saying, okay, I still need some amount of my me time, and my me time is now focused on my own alignment and intuition, so that I can be all that I can be for myself and other people. So it's kind of interesting that we've gone from like in with people but closed off, to closed off by yourself for a good purpose, to then coming back like in a grounded way, coming back into relation with others because we know like, oh, here's my balance, and now coming back to like full optimism. And like, I do this because the Two of Swords has like an image like this where she's blindfolded and going into like her massive intuition, just like, I'm seeking, I'm still seeking. And so and with this world as the overall energy, it's like freaking beautiful. It's like a poem. We just wrote a poem, guys, with not eloquent words, but with a beautiful story, full circle. And it kind of reminds me how we go in and out of that, like coming together, drifting apart, coming back together. We've all had that experience, right? Like maybe you have one acquaintance, if not multiple friends, that's like, we can always just pick back up where we left off. It's easy for us because we recognize the nature of that. There's nothing to be about it. We don't have to judge about it. We can come out and back in. And maybe that's the overall story here, when I was having that feeling before starting this about like finding your party, your clan, your tribe, like who are you in community with because of shared values. And because of that, because we're always changing, there's a 5 there, there's transformation here, there's a tower here, we're constantly changing, full circle the world. So it's a constant cycle. We're never just the same. So as we change, we have to keep, it's like this is a repeating cycle, wash, rinse, repeat, of like, okay, I've changed in some way. Let me come back into like, okay, create some distance. Who am I? Come into alignment, come into understanding, get back into this, like, now here's my new heart space. Like, oh, now I get myself. And then it's like, now I'm back with people. 3 of Cups. Like, isn't that a beautiful story? It's so true. So just, I think the takeaway, one of, is like, we don't have to feel any way about that. Good, bad, whatever. It's just the isness of that cycle. And the less we resist it, the more we can flow with it and each other, and just like fall back in with each other whenever the stars are aligned, and then go away and do our inner healing and growth, whatever that is, and come back together. Like, here's what I've learned. I want to share it with you. Like, that's a beautiful, just flowy energy. It's like if you are just like rigid with those acquaintances and your tribe or whatever, you feel like this kind of strange sense of obligation and duty to stay in it and stay connected, even though it seems more false and more false as time goes on. That's okay. We don't have to do that anymore. Let's just accept that this is a natural cycle of the human experience. and flow with it. So anyway, I really love that energy today. You know, it's kind of relevant for me. Personal story, side quest here. Like when I go into these trainings, and this is day 4 of 5, so we've built up some amount of familiarity with each other, but it's a large enough training, like, I don't know, 50 people. I could, if I was really intentional, if I felt like I had to, I could go up to and meet every single person. There are people like that out there in these trainings I go to the last few years. It's like, well, in my whole life I've been training, but in different worlds. But there are people, a very small subset of people who are like, I've got to meet everybody, even in the most gigantic trainings. This one's pretty large, where I'm like, I will just vibe with whoever I vibe with naturally. That's how I went into this. And it's been beautiful. Yesterday I had a twinge of like, oh, something doesn't feel right. I want to connect more, but I kind of want to be in my own world. And maybe that's my energy bringing this out. But it was like, then I was like, it's all okay. And I sat there, and then people came to me to like, it was this weird, like, stop worrying about it and connection will happen. And then I naturally went to people I hadn't gone to before up to yesterday. So going into today, which is day 4 of 5, we're that far through, 80% through, I don't know, fractions of the training, where it's like, I feel this even more. Like at this point, I'm not forcing things, and I'm, like we keep finding new groups to be in through our practice periods, and we're all like, creature of habits. Like we all tend to sit in the same place, even though there aren't assigned seatings. And yet we all have this idea of like, I really loved working with you yesterday, and I want to keep that going with like finding different experiences to build my literal body of knowledge. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. Me too. So it's like, it's okay to branch out and build your, like, I think of like this imagery of like circles out there that kind of overlap, like lots of different Venn diagrams, I was thinking back to a time back in 2005 when I worked for this company called Fetch Technologies, and it was built on machine learning, and it was like the precursor to true AI. And we had all these PhD like scientists working there, and then I was running the commercial side, like with clients. So we had our R&D, and then so I got to like be in like little lunch and learns with them, because it was a small company. So the PhDs, whatever they were fascinated about and working on in their little like offices of like, ooh, and they would come and we'd call it a little brown bag learning lunch, whatever we called it, and we'd sit there and they would draw on the board, and all of us were like, oh my God, I don't understand it, but that's amazing. Because I then had to go sell the thing, right, and implement it for people. And so it was just a fascinating time. Oh my God, that was 20 years ago, you guys. Wow. See how we change? Anyway, he drew like one of the scientists. He was from like Eastern Europe somewhere. Romania, I think. And he was drawing on the board a bunch of circles. And it was like the idea of almost like bodies of knowledge or data. It was more about data at the time. Like, how do we make our systems intuitive enough to know like this data is like this data is like this data. Oh, here's how they overlap, here's how they merge, blah blah blah. Well, when I was talking here, that image came to mind of the whiteboard, and I'm like, that's kind of like a human experience. Like we have these overlapping networks. It was basically like, yeah, networks, and we can be simultaneously, we can be in the Venn diagram part of it, right? We can be like simultaneously in all of these like groups of connection, and the information can flow between us. So it's like, we don't have to be siloed as people, as tribes. There's overlap. There's friggin' social media, like, so, but it, like in the real world, I love when Like I've just had a really deep connection with someone. And then I witness them having a deep connection with someone else. And I'm like, and it looks different than the one they had with me. And similarly, my deep connections look different between people. They don't even have to look the same. We can resonate with people on different frequencies and dimensions. I don't want to say levels, because that kind of makes me think of hierarchy, and that's not what it's about. It's like we just bring different things out in each other, don't we? Like it's and it's freaking beautiful. So anyway, enough of that. I gotta go, and I'm sorry if the audio was really quiet, because my I can't show you because I'm holding my phone. The speaker was on the table, so I'm all fired up, huh? I hope you have a beautiful Sunday.